Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're stepping back in time, all the way to the brutal and absolutely fascinating world of ancient Rome. We're not just visiting the temples or the Senate, we're heading straight for the heart-pounding center of Roman entertainment, the Colosseum. In this video, we're going to explore the stories of the top 5 gladiators who carved their names into history. These weren't just fighters, they were warriors who rose from the chains of slavery to become living legends inside the arena. Their tales of courage, defiance, and incredible skill have echoed through the centuries. So, grab your wooden swords, because we're about to dive into the sand-covered, blood-soaked world of Rome's greatest gladiators. Let's get started. Coming in at number 5, we have a unique entry, the duo of Priscus and Verus. Their story is unlike any other because it marks a truly historic moment. They fought during the spectacular opening games of the Flavian Amphitheater, better known to us as the Colosseum, back in 80 AD. The poet Martial was there and documented their epic clash. For hours, these two warriors battled, perfectly matched in skill, strength, and stamina. Neither man could gain a decisive advantage, and the crowd was on the edge of their seats. The fight was so long and so evenly fought that the spectators began to demand a draw. In an unprecedented move, the Emperor Titus, who was presiding over the games, agreed. He declared both men victors and, in a display of imperial generosity, granted both Priscus and Verus their freedom right there on the spot. They both received the rudis, the wooden sword, symbolizing their release from gladiatorial life. This was an incredibly rare event. Typically, a gladiatorial contest ended with one man dead or at least defeated. For two men to not only survive, but to both be declared winners and freed was legendary. Priscus and Verus became symbols of martial honor and equal prowess, their story forever immortalized as a testament to skill and the surprising mercy of the arena. At number 4, we have a gladiator whose name literally means to flame, Flamma. And boy, did he burn brightly in the arena. Flamma was a Syrian man, originally captured and forced into gladiatorial school. He fought as a secutor, a type of gladiator who typically faced the net-wielding receiver, and he was incredibly good at it. In fact, Flamma was one of the most successful and celebrated gladiators in all of Roman history. We know about his career from his tombstone, which gives us some incredible details. He fought a total of 34 times, winning 21 of those bouts, drawing in 9, and losing only 4. That is a staggering record in a profession where every fight could be your last. But here is the most amazing part of Flamma's story. He was offered his freedom for separate times. 4 times, he was handed the rudis and given the chance to walk away a free man. And 4 times, he refused Italiano. Why? We can only speculate, but it seems that for Flamma, the life of a gladiator, the fame, the adoration of the crowds, the respect of his peers, and the glory of combat was more valuable than a quiet life of freedom. He chose to live and die as a legend, and he certainly achieved that. He finally fell in the arena at the age of 30, a celebrated superstar of his time. Next up, at number 3, is a name synonymous with rebellion and raw power. Crixus, a Gallic warrior from what is now France. Crixus was captured and, like so many others, sold into slavery and trained as a gladiator in Capua. He was part of the same gladiatorial school, or Ludes, as the most famous gladiator of all, but we'll get to him later. Crixus was a formidable fighter, known for his incredible strength and fierce spirit, but he wasn't content to fight for Roman entertainment. He chafed under the yoke of slavery and yearned for freedom. In 73 BC, he became one of the key leaders in a massive slave rebellion that broke out from the gladiator school. Alongside Spartacus, he helped lead an army of escaped slaves that terrorized the Roman Republic. Crixus represented the pure, unadulterated fury of the oppressed. While Spartacus was often seen as the strategic mind of the rebellion, Crixus was its heart of pure, brutal force. He led his own contingent of followers, primarily Gauls and Germans, and won several early victories against Roman forces. Unfortunately, his desire for plunder and immediate revenge against Roman landowners sometimes clashed with the long-term strategy of the rebellion. He eventually split from the main army and was killed in battle in 27 BC, though he died. His name lived on as a powerful symbol of defiance against the might of Rome, a warrior who refused to be a pawn in their games. Our number 2 spot is reserved for someone who should never have been in the arena in the first place. The Emperor Commodus. Yes, you heard that. Read a Roman, emperor, fighting as a gladiator. Commodus's story is a bizarre and shocking chapter in Roman history, one that showed just how far the empire had strayed from its traditional values. He was obsessed with gladiatorial combat, and saw himself as the reincarnation of Hercules. He would enter the Colosseum, not as a spectator in the imperial box, but as a combatant on the sand. Of course, these fights were heavily staged. His opponents were often wounded soldiers, terrified gladiators ordered to lose, or even unarmed animals he could easily slay from a protected platform. He would fight hundreds of times, always emerging victorious, and would even charge the Roman treasury an exorbitant fee for each of his appearances. For the Roman elite, this was the ultimate disgrace. The emperor, the most powerful man in the world, was debasing himself by taking on the role of the lowest of the lower gladiator, who was legally considered property. His obsession was seen as a sign of his madness and unfitness to rule. It was a spectacle of power gone wrong, a narcissistic display that, for many historians, symbolized the beginning of the moral and political decline of the Roman Empire. Commodus wasn't a true gladiator in the traditional sense, but his shocking presence in the arena made him one of the most infamous figures ever to step onto its sands. And now, for the number 1 gladiator who made history, the name that everyone knows. Spartacus. His story has transcended history to become a powerful, universal myth. Spartacus was a Thracian, possibly a former soldier in the Roman army who was then enslaved. He was sold to the same gladiatorial school in Capua as Crixus. But Spartacus was more than just a skilled fighter. He was a natural leader, a brilliant strategist, and a man with an unbreakable desire for freedom. In 73 BCE, he masterminded the escape from the loot, sparking what would become the third servile war, largest and most successful slave revolt in Roman history. What started with a few dozen gladiators armed with kitchen knives quickly swelled into an army of over 100,000 escaped slaves, men, women, and children. For 2 years, Spartacus and his army marched up and down the Italian peninsula, defeating multiple Roman legions sent to crush them. He shook the very foundations of the Roman Republic. Rome, the most powerful military force in the world, was being humiliated on its own soil by an army of former slaves, led by a gladiator. Eventually, the full might of Rome, under the command of the wealthy and ruthless Marcus Licinius Crassus, was brought to bear. Spartacus's army was finally cornered and defeated in 71 BC. Spartacus himself is said to have died in the heat of battle, fighting to the very end. Although he was defeated, his legacy was cemented. Spartacus became an eternal symbol of the fight for freedom, the struggle of the oppressed against a powerful and unjust system. He wasn't just a gladiator. He was a revolutionary whose name would inspire hope and rebellion for thousands of years to come. So there you have it, the top 5 gladiators who made their mark on Roman history. From the honorable duel of Priscus and Verus to the rebellious fire of Spartacus. These warriors were so much more than just entertainers. They were symbols of honor, fame, defiance, corruption, and ultimately, freedom. They were celebrities, legends, and political pawns, all rolled into one. Their stories show us the complexity and brutality of the Roman world, a place where a slave could become a hero, and an emperor could become a performer. The sand of the Colosseum has long since settled, but the echoes of these incredible lives still resonate today. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the ancient arena. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into history. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Which gladiator story impressed you the most? Or is there another legendary fighter we should have included? Let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.